During the debate, Biden was asked about his son and this whole impeachment investigation and how his son's at the center of it. So let's take a look at what his answer is.
If it's not okay for a president's family to be involved in foreign businesses, why was it okay for your son when you were vice president? Vice President Biden?
Look, my son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I carried out the policy of the United States government in rooting out corruption in Ukraine. And that's what we should be focusing on. And what I wanted to make a point about, and my son's statement speaks for itself. He spoke about it today. My son's statement speaks for itself. What I think is important is we focus on why it's so important to remove this man from office. On the 17th, look, the fact that George Washington worried on the first time he spoke after being elected president that what we had to worry about is foreign interference in our elections. It was the greatest threat to America. This president on three occasions, has invited foreign governments and heads of government to get engaged in trying to alter our elections. The fact is that it is outrageous. Rudy Giuliani, the president, and his thugs have already proven that they, in fact, are flat lying. What we have to do now is focus on Donald Trump. He doesn't want me to be the candidate. He's going after me because he knows if I get the nomination, I will beat him like a drum.
So he's used that phrase a lot, like that beat him like a drum. It might have landed the first time, but then he used it again. I think it was in one of his videos. Someone was asking him a question about all of this, and he said beat him like a drum, and then he used it again tonight. He's got to come up with new material, man. And also, Biden's son maybe didn't do anything illegal in working for a Ukrainian gas company, but it's
unethical.
It's unethical,
obviously. Yeah, it's still corruption. It's not illegal corruption, but it is allowing political considerations to override the way that things are supposed to go.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want to hear Biden talking about it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the entire thing. I'm sick that he allowed it. I mean, I guess it's not on him. His son is going to do what he's going to do, but I'm sick of all of them benefiting this way. As you guys talked about, I think on the show today, I'm sick of hearing like 30 people in media today talking about how using your family connections is so wrong, and like one of them's an heir, and one of them's father was a senator, and one of them's father was a governor, and like all of them have those same connections. It's all BS. No, Don Jr. is getting $50K a speech right now. Nobody would pay 25 cents to hear him speak if his father wasn't Donald Trump. The whole thing's frustrating.
Look up cable news hosts and see how many of them have political connections. Either they themselves had some sort of role in politics in the past, or they have a family member who's literally currently in politics. Like it's honestly an issue in a lot of different industries, especially the most lucrative industries. So I think it is a problem. And Anderson Cooper did ask a follow-up to Biden. Let's take a look at that.
Mr. Vice President, as you said, your son Hunter today gave an interview, admitted that he made a mistake and showed poor judgment by serving on that board in Ukraine. Did you make a mistake by letting him? You were the point person on Ukraine at the time, if you can answer.
Look, my son's statement speaks for itself. I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. No one has indicated I have. We've always kept everything separate. Even when my son was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware, we never discussed anything. So there'd be no potential conflict. My son made a judgment. I'm proud of the judgment he made. I'm proud of what he had to say. And let's focus on this. The fact of the matter is that this is about Trump's corruption. That's what we should be focusing on.
One great way to focus on that is to not have him as the candidate, because if he is, it doesn't, like what he said there about, no one's ever asserted that a specific thing happened, totally true. When Anderson Cooper asked a question, he was like, no one's actually proven that any law was broken, totally true, and does not matter in our political world. It's still unethical, and it will definitely be spun as illegal, and 40% of the country will believe that he broke 1 million laws.
Such a great point. You need a candidate who is untouchable by Donald Trump, someone who doesn't have corruption issues, someone who didn't, possibly abuse political power to get lucrative deals or positions for family members.
Bernie wouldn't even endorse his son when he ran for office because he thought that it would be unethical.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I'd be pissed if I was his son, by the way, but I admire it as an outsider.
I totally admire it. It's the right move. It's definitely the right move. It's a principled move.
I would respect that. I agree with you though, and I think that we get so caught up in legalities sometimes that we neglect ethics. But that's why we're in the mess that we're in right now. And our president, whether you want to address the legal stuff, and that's what's happening right now, ethically, he does not represent what the United States is supposed to represent. And that not on a national scale, but globally, how that affects how we play out with the rest of the world is that now people mistrust the United States because we have a hustling, gaffling gangster that will do anything to, against somebody who opposes him. And that's why everybody's so afraid of him. And the Republicans, and you see them shut down, and you see Lindsey Graham become Mickey Mouse, and you see all of this stuff happen because they don't know. They've all been so corrupt along the way. This is what you need to pay attention to. They've been so corrupt along the way that they will compromise you because they're afraid of what dirty laundry he's gonna air out. When someone like Bernie Sanders is like, what you got? And is not afraid of him, you despise him and you shun him. But that's the guy who's like, hey, Donnie, come at me, bro, because I am not negotiable.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't understand. That's why I'm so confused.
Yeah.
I think that Bernie does need to up his game in making it clear that he is uncorruptible. And look, he's done it in rejecting super PAC money and rejecting these big fundraisers and big dollar donors, but he needs to brag a little bit more about how principled he is.
He has to play that game with them.
So
he doesn't like to brag.
He doesn't, not only that, he doesn't like to attack the other candidates.
He did tonight a
He
little.
did a little.
He doesn't, he obviously does not like attacking Warren.
Yeah, no, that's clear, right? But even, okay, let's take Warren out of it just for the sake of this conversation. Someone like Biden, I mean, I would have jumped on that and I would have been like, look, it might have been legal, but this is why corruption is such a huge issue. This is unethical. It makes our party look bad. It makes it look like there's an abuse of power here, and it makes you vulnerable, incredibly vulnerable. And I don't know.
That's what makes Bernie though.
I know, and
the
I
fact
get
that he
it.
doesn't get dirty. They can't look how many years he's been doing through the civil rights movement, all the things that happened. They haven't been able to get him to get.
They don't ever stop to think like, oh, is it a good idea to attack him? I mean, Biden's the one who attacked him first tonight,
No, I know.
which we're gonna get to later, right? So they'll attack him, and I get it. He's a good person, and he doesn't want to play dirty. I just worry that by using this strategy, he's gonna be trampled over by disingenuous, terrible candidates. And so far, it's happened a little bit with Biden. I just want him to stand out more. I want Bernie to stand out more. I think he has the best policies. I think he's the most progressive of all of the other candidates, Warren included, to be honest. And I like a lot of Warren's policies. But if you want to talk the talk and focus on a candidate who has just across the board a history of promoting the right policies, fighting for the right causes, and having the most detailed progressive policies, it's Bernie. So I want him to do a better job in differentiating himself. Even if you're not willing to play dirty, I get that. But you have to find a way to stand out. And I think it's been a little bit of a struggle for him, and it's devastating to watch as someone who supports him.
I think he understands that if he attacks people, it opens the door to, why is he shouting at Biden or whatever, if he did it to Warren even more so.
Yeah.
But imagine if he had a surrogate who could do that, a great communicator, an attack dog, maybe he'll get one on Saturday.
But let me just say this about Bernie.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know.
Bernie is the single candidate that is the biggest threat to the people on the other side, that they use communism, socialism.
And it doesn't even work.
They weaponize him, weaponize his desire to make the world a better place for us. imagine if he was aggressive in any way. You know what I mean? You know, he just can't, because the minute they're like, there's the communists we're talking about.
I know, but I'm actually a lot less worried about the right wing and more worried about fellow Democrats.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not even talking about the nutsos.
And if the polls were a little bit different, I think we would have seen it tonight. Like both Bernie and Biden, other than attacking each other, for the most part, like the Buttigieg's and Amy Klobuchar, like they were on Warren, like Warren, and that benefited to some extent both Bernie and Biden tonight.
That is a good point.
I mean, it meant that both of them were talking less.
Because look, their attacks are, you're proposing things that are too hard. Let's propose things that we're gonna pretend like we can fight for and accomplish, but we're actually not gonna do anything about. Like that is their way of attacking Bernie.
Was that Buttigieg?
And Klobuchar, like Klobuchar was like, we need to talk about healthcare that we can actually accomplish. Meaning, I'm not going to try to accomplish anything. Let's stop the conversation.
But that's what Elizabeth said. She was like, that's what we have to stop. We have to believe in the big things and stop saying we can't do it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.